Welcome back. All right, so coming out of tonight's games, we do not know who's playing who yet outside of the Tampa Bay-Toronto matchup, which if tonight was any indication, that should be a war. But we do have a better picture of who's making the playoffs and who's not. And tomorrow night, there is a huge game for the New York Islanders. Now, I still intend to go to the Abbotsford Canucks game tomorrow night. And I'll be going to the Abbotsford Canucks game on Friday as well. Thursday is a 15-game day, so I'm going to just take it easy over Wednesday, and then of course Friday there's just 2 games. And so yeah, and then Saturday and Sunday there's no hockey, but there'll be all kinds of previews going up for the first round series because we will know who's playing who then. But for tonight, our first game we're going to look at is Buffalo against New Jersey. So for Sabres fans, this has to be disappointing and yet encouraging at the same time. Buffalo playing games that matter in April. This is the first time this has happened in the entire existence of this channel, and this channel started in 2016 as a hockey channel. So it's Levi versus Vanacek. The Devils wearing the jersey. So I just wish the helmet said helmet. I wish they were consistent. So the shots are 3-0 Sabres 3 minutes in. There's a power play for Buffalo. Skinner has a shot that deflects out. That's killed off. Jack Hughes has a rush chance that's defended, and then Boquist buries a rebound from Wood and Bastian at 11:42. Boquist then had a rush chance that's defended on his next shift. Gergenson's denied. Sabres press. Things get pushy on a hold by Vanacek. Hughes has a rush chance that's held. The Devils press to close it. It's 1-0 Devils after 1. Second period. Early chance for the Sabres, but at 1:06 on a turnover rush, Siegenthaler wires one. Hischier and Tatar with the assists on that. Things get pushy on a save by Levi. Sabres score. There's an offside challenge, so that comes off the board, but Buffalo scores shortly thereafter to get it back. Skinner from Middlestad and Tuck at 6:57. So that's what I like to see. That goal doesn't count. Fine, we'll go get another one. Shots are 7-3 for Buffalo at 7.5 minutes. Some good desperate hockey from Buffalo at that point. Tuck has a net feed that's picked off, and then Wood makes it 3-1 from Bastian and Hischier at 9:28. So bit of a heartbreaker there, but the Sabres, they press with 8.5 minutes left. Brat's denied on a fast break, 2:49 left. The Devils get a power play. That's killed off. The Sabres clear it after. 2 shots on that power play. So after 2 periods, the score's 3-1 for New Jersey. Third period, Hughes looks to add one. That's Jack Hughes. Wood has a shot that's held. There's a power play for the Devils. That leads to a shorthanded chance for Gergensons. That's held. Power play's killed off. And then Tatar gets his 19th of the season from Severson and Ball at 7 minutes and 10 seconds. But on a turnover, Buffalo gets one back. So it's Samuelsson from Tuck at 13:15. So Samuelsson gets that goal that's on the road, so he didn't hear his goal song. So Skinner was right with the between 2 stalls right there. Devils press to respond. There's a power play for Buffalo. That becomes a 6-on-4 because they desperately need a goal. And so Tatar hits the empty netter for his 20th of the season. Bastian and Meyer with the assists at 17:28. They keep the goalie pulled. They have to get goals. They have to tie it. They don't. Hughes gets the empty netter from Bratt and Vanacek at 18:15. And with that goal, Hughes beats the all-time record for points that have been held by Elias, I should say, with 96 points. Now Hughes has 97. So he owns that record. And that's your final, 6-2. Yeah. So New Jersey, 51-22-8 with the win. For Buffalo, 40-33-7. They're mathematically eliminated now from the playoffs. Shots on net are 10 apiece in the first, 15-9 Buffalo in the second, 13-11 Buffalo in the third. So they played well. Final shots, 38-30 for Buffalo. Both teams go 0-for-2 on the power play. Hits 19-14 New Jersey. Levi saves 24 out of 28, and Vanacek saves 36 out of 38. So entertaining game, but in the end, your winner, New Jersey Devils. All right, next up, Philadelphia and Columbus. I know people are going to be excited to see what happened here. But yeah, the teams at the bottom, they're getting points. They're keeping things interesting. So it's Hutchinson versus Hart. Flyers press at 4 minutes. The shots are 2-1 in their favor 5 minutes in. Columbus press is 7 minutes in. Jiricek has a net feed. That's picked off. Marchenko can't get to the net. Hayes has a rush chance that's saved. And then Foodie scores at 9:47 from Meyer and Bernie. And looking at that scoring combination reminds me, right, yeah, it's basically all Cleveland players now. So the Flyers press to respond, but it's Fix Wolanski who gets an unassisted goal at 12:43. That one goes through Hart on a zone entry, so Hart might want that one back. Flyers press, the Jackets block, but then Farabee scores from Konechny and Frost at 14:59. The Flyers press to tie it, and they do. Van Riemsdyk scores from Provorov and Lawton at 15:33. Wired top shelf. That's goal number 300 for James Van Riemsdyk, who might have been thinking at this point, I guess I'm not getting it till next year. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and then with 1:06 left, the Flyers get a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. And late in it, Philadelphia scores. It's Tippett from Cates and Ristolainen at 47 seconds. It's bar down on a net drive, so that makes it 3-2 in favor of Philly. Flyers press at 2 minutes. Columbus presses back at 8 minutes. Allison has a net feed this block. The Flyers were a post away from making it 4-2. Pressed by the Flyers with 5.5 minutes left. Farabee has a net feed. That's picked off. Columbus presses with a minute and a half left. With 1:10 left, the Flyers get a power play. That becomes a 4-on-4 before the period's out. Rolls over into the third period where everything's killed off. Jackets get a power play. Mask and a post for Goudreau. So he gets it off Hart's mask and then it hits the post after. We get 4-on-4 and then Columbus with a 4-on-3. It's a parade. And eventually that parade, it bites the Flyers. At 5:50, Corrali scores on the power play from Christensen and Foodie. Shots are 6-0 Columbus at 8 minutes. The Flyers, though, they press at the half. We get a power play for the Flyers in the second half. That's killed. We're going to overtime. Flyers controlled early. Columbus takes over. Hart saves. The Flyers rush. A near miss for Roslovic, and then Tippett buries one bar down. Provorov and York with the assist. That's at 4:54. Heads off the shootout. Final score is 4-3 in overtime for Philadelphia. They go to 30, 38, and 13. For Columbus, they're 24, 47, and 9 with the overtime loss. Shots on net, 15-9 Philadelphia in the first, 16-8 Philadelphia in the second, 12-6 Columbus in the third, and 2 apiece in the overtime. Final shots, 39-31 Philadelphia. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. Hits, 26-18 for Philadelphia. Hutchinson saves 35 out of 39. Carter Hart saves 28 out of 31. So, entertaining game. And in the end, Philadelphia gets the 2 points. All right, next up, Detroit and Carolina. So Detroit, it's been a rough last couple of weeks. Nedeljkovic versus Raanta in this one, and at 2:46, Nason opens the scoring from Kotkaniemi and Gostisbehere. It was a result of a good press, and they bury it. Kane's press at 6 minutes. Eventually, they get another one. It's Martinook, who's wide open. Poor defensive coverage by Detroit there. Shea and Fast with the assists at 7:50. Get a power play for the Wings. That's killed off. Shots are 7-1 for Carolina with 9 minutes left. Wings press with a minute and a half left, but in the end of that period, it's still 2-0 for Carolina. Second period, early jump for Detroit, but we get a power play for the Canes. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1 for Detroit. Cops denied there. That's killed off. The Wings clear. And then Haig scores from Veleno and Perron at 5:05. The Canes, though, they look to answer, and eventually they do. It's Burns from Slavin and Drury at 9:10. Canes press with 6 minutes left. With 1:05 left, the Wings get a power play. That rolls over to the third period where Carolina finishes the kill. The Wings press at 2.5 minutes. Aho's denied on a net drive. The light came on there. The ref said no. The referee was correct. Sherratt's then denied in close. The shots were 3-0 for the Wings at 5 minutes, which confused me because the Aho shot didn't count as a shot. I guess it didn't at that point. I'm not saying they didn't change it after, but it was weird. So Canes press at 6 minutes. The Wings then press. They're kept to the outside. Wallman's denied on a 2-on-1. Goalie pull happens with a little over 2 minutes left, and at 19:18, Kotkaniemi gets the empty net goal, and your final score is 4-1 for Carolina. They go to 51, 21, and 9, so they stay 1 point ahead of New Jersey. For Detroit, they're 35, 36, and 10 with the loss. Shots on net are 12-6 Carolina in the first, 11-8 Carolina in the second, 7-5 Detroit in the third. Final shots 28-21 for Carolina. Power plays, Detroit 0 for 2, Carolina 0 for 1. The hits 15-14 Detroit. Nedeljkovic saved 24-27. Raanta, not busy, but good. 20 out of 21 that he saved at his end. So, yeah, for Carolina, maybe this is a sign they're turning things around heading into the playoffs. All right, Toronto and Tampa. Like I said, this one was a war. So it's Wall versus Vasilevsky. Yes, Toronto was allowed to dress and use Wall. And I still say you should be allowed to carry. And I talked about this back in 2020 when we had so many goalies on the protocol list. And I was like, they need to be allowed to carry 3. We don't want to be in a situation where a game that's important, and this game's not, but we don't want to be in a situation where a game has to be played with an amateur goaltender, university goaltender as a starting goalie. We didn't have that tonight, although there was one as the backup. So early Leafs power play, that leads to 1 minute and 39 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Shots are 4-1 Tampa at 4 minutes. The Leafs press at 5.5 minutes. Sergachev's denied. The Leafs clear. Maroon was down. It was a trip in the corner. Power play for the Bolts shortly thereafter. They cycle. We then get 19 seconds of 4-on-4, meaning the Leafs get a power play and they score on it. It's Nylander from O'Reilly and Yarncroke. That's at 12:48. Leafs press for another, but at 13:59, Killorn would score to tie it from Sergachev and Stamkos. The Leafs, though, not bothered. They press for another answer. The Bolts score a goalie interference challenge, and yes, goalie interference. They take that goal off the board. And while the fans are still upset about that, Toronto scores. It's Luke Schenn from Achari at 16:01. So not long after that no goal, all of a sudden, Toronto has the lead at 2-1. Leafs press with 2.5 minutes left. We had a fight between Schenn and Maroon. The Leafs come out of that with a power play, 1:10 left. Nylander nearly scores, and things get brawly at the horn. O'Reilly takes a penalty on that, so it becomes 4-on-4. Early press by the Bolts. Everything gets killed off in that, by the way. Bunting and Perry were unfriendly, and then at 5:21, Perbix scores one from Kucherov and Point. Then Tampa Bay looks for the lead. Emotions are rising, and you can tell the playoffs are on the way. Just the intensity in these games tonight showed you. So we get a power play for Toronto. It's killed off. Tampa Bay gets a power play. That's killed off. Bolts get another power play, and they have some momentum. But then there's 1:19 of 4-on-4. The Leafs then end up with a 4-on-3. It's a bit of a parade, and the Leafs score on the power play. It's Yarncroke with his 20th of the season. I believe it's his first 20-goal season. Tavares and Nylander with the assists at 16:56, and he buries that one in close. 1:29 left. The Bolts get a power play. That rolls over into the third. The Leafs do finish the kill. Bolts press at 4 minutes. They go back to the power play. That's killed off. Nylander has a chance that's held. The Leafs press with 8 minutes left. Eventually, they score again. It's O'Reilly scoring from Nyes and Nylander at 12:33. So for Matthew Nyes, that's his first NHL point. Kudos to him for that. At 13:49, Sergachev would answer. Tampa Bay pulls the goaltender with about 2.5 minutes left. They also end up having a 6-on-4 because, of course, they draw a power play. They are unable to tie it. Toronto holds on, and they win this one 4-3. They go to 49-21-11 on the season. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, 45-30-6 on the season. So they stay at 96 points. Shots on net, 14-12 Tampa Bay in the first, 19-8 Tampa Bay in the second, 15-4 Tampa Bay in the third. That's right, they outshot Toronto badly, 48-24. But the goaltending, well, was pretty good. The power plays, Toronto 2 for 6, Tampa Bay 0 for 8. So that's going to eat into their power play percentage. Hits 29-23 Tampa. Wall saves 45 out of 48. Earns his name tonight. Vasilevsky saves 20 out of 24. So, rough night for Vasilevsky. Wonder if he peaked too soon. All right, next up. Washington and Boston. So the Boston Bruins hit 63 wins in their last game, and tonight they were trying to reach 133 points, and they did it. Now your all-time points leader in a season, the Boston Bruins. They hold the record for wins. They hold the record for points. And this has just been a season of just magic the whole way. So it's Lindgren versus Ullmark. Coyle has a shot that's held. The Bruins press at 4 minutes. Pasternak has a chance that's saved. Smith has a shot that's held by Ullmark. Shots are 4 apiece, 7 minutes in. The Bruins would press with 6 minutes left. With 53 seconds left, the Caps get a power play, so that rolls over into the second period. Wilson's denied. Ullmark holds there. Bruins do finish the kill. Then there's a press by Boston, 4 minutes in. Shots are 5-3 in their favor, 5 minutes into the period. Pasternak fires one wide. Zacha's denied. Hall to McAvoy, near miss there. We get a power play then for Boston, and they score. It's a tic-tac-toe goal. Marchand with his first power play goal in years. From Pasternak and Bergeron at 8:31. Bruins press with 9 minutes left. The shots are 11-5 Boston with 7 minutes left. Power play then for the Bruins. They score on this one as well. They were perfect on the power play tonight. Bertuzzi scores this one from Pasternak and Marchand at 14:20. Bertuzzi, since hitting his stride in Boston, his passing's been fantastic. If the finishing shows up as well, that makes them even stronger going into the playoffs. So Bertuzzi buries a rebound there. Jensen would answer at 15:27, makes it 2-1. Wilson then has a shot that's held. Pasternak's denied as the Bruins press, but it's 2-1 after 2 in favor of the Bruins. Third period, early press by Boston. Lindgren robs Pasternak. There was a barehanded save by Lindgren. Just absolutely save of the year material there. If you haven't seen it, man, it was incredible. Bruins press for more at 3.5 minutes, and eventually there's a turnover, and Nosek wires it at 4 minutes and 13 seconds. That makes it 3-1 for Boston. Hall's denied on a 2-on-1, but on that play, Lindgren gets hurt. So Kemper goes in. Not long after that, the Capitals get a power play, and they score on it. So it's Wilson from Strome and Carlson at 7:13. So 3-2, a little bit of nerves in the air, not for long. Hathaway would score to make it 4-2 from Nosek and McAvoy at 7:49. The Caps would end up pulling the goaltender down by 2, which allows DeBrusk to hit the empty net from Marchand at 18:10. Boston wins 5-2. They go to 64, 12 and 5. I don't know that we'll ever see a record like this again. I don't think we will. For Washington, 35, 36 and 9. I can't remember ever seeing a team go wire to wire like the Boston Bruins have this year, where there just isn't a lapse in their schedule and in their results. So shots on net are 12-7 Boston in the first, 12-9 Boston in the second, 20-11 Boston in the third. Final shots 44-27 for the Bruins. Power plays Washington 1 for 2, Boston 2 for 2. Hits 25-20 Washington. Lindgren saved 33 out of 36 before being replaced by Kemper, who saved 6 out of 7. Ullmark didn't finish the game, saved 19 out of 21. There was some debate about whether he really got hurt or if it was done out of abundance of caution for a play that looked a little questionable. Swayman, 6 saves on 6 shots. By looking questionable, I just mean it looked like he might have tweaked something, but hopefully Ullmark's just fine. At any rate, now I need to change boards. Okay, so the surprise of the night. I am absolutely stunned at what I saw here tonight, and now Pittsburgh is not in control of their destiny. So this is why tomorrow night the Islanders, who are playing Montreal, if they win that game, they're in the playoffs, and Pittsburgh's streak of 16 straight seasons in the playoffs comes to an end. So it's Mrazek versus Jari in this one, and Mrazek decided he was playing spoiler tonight. So Malkin's denied from the slot. The Penguins had the early jump. The shots on net are 1 apiece 3 minutes in. Crosby can't bury one on a rush. We get a power play for the Hawks. That was killed off. The Pens get a power play. That's killed off as well. There's a press by the Penguins with 5.5 minutes left. Kulikov had a net feed. That was picked off. It's scoreless after 1. Second period, early power play for the Penguins. That's killed off. The shots are 5-0 Pittsburgh, though, at 4 minutes. And all I kept thinking was at some point, they're going to get a couple of goals past Mrazek. They're going to cruise to a victory because that's usually what happens against Chicago. Remember, Chicago came into this one, 1-9 in their last 10? I believe they were 1-9 in their last 10 coming into this one. So, Murphy, there's a power play for Chicago, and then shortly after it's done, Murphy would get the goal to open the scoring from Wagner and Kaiser at 8:04. So, Connor Murphy on the board, and it's 1-0 Chicago. In fact, that's the only shot they have for a while. The Penguins were leading in shots 9-1 with 8.5 minutes left. So had to be frustrating for Pittsburgh, right? Pressed by the Penguins with 8 minutes left. Petrie has a shot that's held. There's some pushing, again, as Pittsburgh's anxiety level goes up. Both goalies have been good. Robinson has a shot that's held. Kachuk is then robbed as the Hawks press. Reese Johnson fires one wide on a 3-on-2. And after they got that lead, Chicago had a couple of chances. So we go to the third period with Chicago somehow ahead 1-0. Even though they'd been outshot 16-6 in that second period. So third period, there's an early power play for the Penguins. Crosby nearly ties it. Then there's a shorthanded 3-on-2 that fizzles out. That power play is killed off. And then the Penguins get another power play. They score on this one. Malkin from Raquel and Petrie at 5:28. That ties it at 1. The shots are 8-1 for the Penguins at 6.5 minutes. And again, I am expecting Pittsburgh, because they need this win to jump ahead of the Islanders. I expect the Penguins to get that goal, but instead, Chicago gets it. It's Robinson from Caleb Jones and Bjork at 10:22. Buries a loose puck there for his first goal of the season. And then at 10:48, they score again. Athanasiou on a rush. Kind of buries it from behind the net. So he's behind the net. He just reaches out and banks it in. Just a weird goal. Bjork and Robinson with the assists. So Buddy Robinson, a goal and an assist. He only came into tonight's game with 1 point. He triples it tonight. So, yeah, that made it 3-1, and that's where my jaw dropped. Seriously. Gensel has a net drive that's held. 4:11 left. The Penguins have a power play. So, again, it's Chicago. I expect them to blow a multi-goal lead. Crosby has a shot that's held. They pull the goaltender for 6-on-4. There's a post for Bjork. An empty net goal miss there. But that power play's killed off, and then Tyler Johnson hits the empty net at 18:36. But in 19:22, Pittsburgh answers. It's Heinen from Petrie and Archibald. The problem is they're down by 2, and there's like 38 seconds left. But they pull the goalie anyways because they have to try. And Entwistle hits the empty net from Zaitsev in England at 19:37. So Chicago goes into Pittsburgh and they win 5-2. They go to 26-49-6 on the season. For Pittsburgh, 40-31-10 on the season. The shots on net are 13-9 Chicago in the first, 16-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 15-8 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots are 40-27 for Pittsburgh. Power play, Chicago 0 for 2 and Pittsburgh 1 for 5. The hits, 30-20 for Chicago. Mrazek stood on his head, 38 saves on 40 shots. Jari saves 22 out of 25 at the other end. And what happens if Pittsburgh doesn't make the playoffs? Like, their last game is against Columbus. Well, they're going to beat Columbus. The problem is, I said, well, they're going to beat Chicago. So, I don't know anymore. I really don't. All right, next up. Winnipeg and Minnesota. Man, this was a battle too, right? So, Hellebuck versus Fleury. Shots are 2-0 Wild at 3.5 minutes. The Jets press. The Wild block. At 3:53, Lowry gets Winnipeg on the board from Niederreiter and Morrissey. He buries a loose puck there to make that happen. Wild press to respond. 7 minutes in, the Jets just have the one shot. That was their goal. Dumba has a net drive that's saved. Scheifele's denied. The Fleury holds on there. Not the Fleury. Fleury holds there. Power play then for Minnesota. Killed off. Good kill there by Winnipeg. And then Scheifele scores from Dubois and Schmidt at 13:10. And again, it's about burying a loose puck. So it's those pucks that aren't being held and aren't being cleared out from in front of the net by Minnesota, and suddenly it's 2-0 Winnipeg. Kaprizov tips one wide as the Wild press. The Wild press again with 2.5 minutes left. 1:47 left. The Wild get a power play. That becomes a 5-on-3, extended 5-on-3. So that rolls over into the second period, but the Jets penalty kill really strong there, and they kill it off. Jets press at 4 minutes. Ehlers has a net feed. That's blocked. Johansson's then denied on a rush. Strong board play by Niederreiter at this point in the game, too. Shots are 3-1 Jets at 7 minutes. We get a power play for the Jets. That was killed off by the Wild, and no shots. So it also kind of hurts the momentum that way. Jets go back to the power play. That was killed off as well. Zuccarello's then denied. His shots held. Wild press with 2.5 minutes left. Manalainen's then denied, and the Jets get some pressure late. And after 2 periods, it remains 2-0. Third period, early power play for the Wild. Kaprizov's robbed. There's heroics by Hellebuck, but eventually Kaprizov does score from Klingberg and Johansson at 1:59. That is the 40th goal of the season for Kaprizov. Nice to see him hit that mark. But Connor de Dubois picked off. Dumba has a blast that's held. It's all Wild at this point. Reeves then hits DeMello to an ovation, which the Wild announcers thought should have been a penalty. Things get brawly with 8:29 left, and I think it started with that Reeves hit. The one thing I will say, though, is that Dave Poulin said he wished the Jets were answering for that, and I thought, okay, if they retaliate, they're going to get a penalty. They want to get in the playoffs. So you take a number and you wait until later, and clearly they waited until later. So things get brawly with 8:29 left, and it's a nasty hit on Ehlers by Hartman. It's one of those hits that Ehlers would not have been anticipating, and so the Jets get a power play. That's killed off, just the one shot. But then, on a rush, Appleton scores from Barron and Stedland to make it 3-1. And it felt like the Jets needed that goal because Minnesota was really pressuring in that third period. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's a goalie pull with 2:30 left. The Wild get a 5-minute power play. I believe it was Pionk with a cross-check that was a 5-minute. And then we get a fight between Dillon and Hartman. They were not happy about the Hartman hit on Ehlers, so, you got to drop the gloves there. Lowry versus Reeves happened after that. Bonus was not happy with the fact that Evason put Reeves on the ice in the last minute and kind of looked at him, and Evason looks at him like, yeah, and so I haven't seen coaches look at each other like that in a while. We must have the playoffs coming. But it was an ugly finish to what had been a pretty quiet game until that point. So Winnipeg wins this one 3-1. They do make the playoffs. Nashville is now done. Doesn't matter what Nashville does in their last couple of games. Winnipeg 46-32-3. They clinch the second wildcard spot. They can't move up, but they do make the playoffs. For Minnesota, 46-25-10 with the loss. Shots on net, 12-4 Minnesota in the first, 11-4 Winnipeg in the second, and 18-5 Minnesota in the third. Final shots, 34-20 for the Wild. Power plays, Winnipeg 0 for 3, Minnesota 1 for 5. The hits were 18 apiece. Hellebuck saved 33 out of 34. He was fantastic. And Fleury saved 17 out of 20. So, really entertaining game. All right, next up. Edmonton and Colorado. And the entertainment continues. So, Skinner versus Georgiev. Early jump for the Avs. The shots are 3-0 in their favor, 2.5 minutes in. Ronton into Rodriguez. There's a near miss. And then Myers gets one that double deflects. Finally deflects off Broberg's skate and goes in at 4:52. But the Oilers answer almost immediately at 5:28. It's a one-timer from the slot by Ekholm. The assist by McLeod and Foegele. Rantanen's then denied on a rush. The shots are 7-5 for the Avs at the half. Yamamoto has a net drive that's blocked. But after one period, it's 1-1. Second period, Cogliano has a shot that deflects out. There's a delayed game call that gives the Avs the power play. That was killed off, no shots. So really good penalty kill there. Power play for the Oilers, that was killed off. Then the Avs press. Both penalty kills were quite good in this one tonight. Rodriguez can't bury one in close. Yamamoto has a rush shot that's kicked aside. Power play for the Oilers. It's a 4-minute power play. McDavid has a net drive that's defended. Bouchard has a shot that's tipped wide. There's a near miss for Foegele, and that's survived by Colorado. They do kill that off. Ref is told that he sucks in the final minute, because how else is he going to know? Taves is denied in the closing seconds, and things get pushy at the horn. So, third period, with the score still 1-1. Hunt has a shot that's caught and held. 3.5 minutes in, the shots are 6-2 for Edmonton. Power play for the Avalanche. Rantanen has a chance that's saved. That was killed off. Good kill and really good goaltending there as well. Your best penalty killer should be your goaltender. McKinnon has a shot that's caught and held. Fogel's then denied on a net drive. The Oilers press with 7.5 minutes left. Nichushkin steals one, fires it wide. And then 5:07 left. The Avs get a power play. And it was dangerous. Taves fires one wide. They cycled. Rantanen had chances. Then there's a shorthanded 3-on-1. That's defended. Doesn't get to the net. Rantanen misses on a rush. They kill it off. 6 shots on goal on that power play for Colorado. But we're going to overtime. The Oilers control early in the overtime. Georgiev saves. The Avs take over. Byram couldn't bury one. There's a power play for the Oilers. They call a timeout before the power play starts. Bouchard has a shot that's held, and then on the following faceoff, Bouchard gets a power play goal. McDavid and Draisaitl with the assists at 1 minute and 50 seconds. That's point 152 now for McDavid. So, yeah, the final score is 2-1 for the Oilers in overtime. They continue their point streak, which is just ridiculous. They're 49-23-9 on the season. They also still have hope to end up winning the division, though they'll still need some help. For the Avs, 49-24-7. With the 1 point, they do push a point ahead in the standings ahead of the Dallas Stars, but they're going to wish they had both points there. Shots on net are 9-8 Colorado in the first, 17-7 Edmonton in the second, 13-12 Colorado in the third. Edmonton had all 3 shots of the overtime, including the game winner. Final shots 40-29 for Edmonton. Power plays, Edmonton 0 for 4, very uncharacteristic. Colorado 0 for 3. The hits 25-13 for Edmonton. Skinner saves 28 out of 29. Georgiev saves 38 out of 40. Both goalies looked dialed in tonight, so very entertaining again. All right, next up, Seattle and Vegas. So Seattle with a 5-game winning streak. One of those was over the Canucks, 3 of them over Arizona. So this was a chance to see how they do against a team ahead of them in the standings. It's Decord versus Brossoit. Good early back and forth. Tight checking, not much room early in this. But the shots on net are 3-0 for Vegas. So they're getting those chances. And at 5:37, Amadio opens the scoring from Smith and Karlsson. And it stays that way until at 9:06, Gord scores from Bjorkstrand. So with that goal, the Kraken then press for the lead at the half. They're looking for that lead that they don't get. Pushy on a Brossoit hold, so he holds on to a puck, gets some pushing and all that going on, and I'm sure that'll be amping up when we get into the playoffs. Kraken press, they're kept to the outside. Karlsson has a shot that's held, and then there's some more pushing. Stretch pass to Amadio, near miss there with 3:21 left. The Kraken get a power play. Vegas kills that off, so it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, 2 minutes in, Amadio gets the second of the game. He scores from Smith and Karlsson. You know, I've always liked Amadio, just throwing that out there. Kraken look to answer. Dunn has a chance that's saved. Bluger has a one-timer that goes high. I don't know how he missed from there. The shots are 2 apiece at 5.5 minutes. Then there's a goal line stand by Decord. Really close, but it does not go in. Barbashev's denied as they press. We then get a power play for Vegas. Seattle kills that off. Eberle has a rush chance that's held. And then at 14:48, a turnover. It's a rush the other way, and Smith scores to make it 3-1 from Amadio and Haig. So Amadio with 3 points on the night. That's not too bad. And that makes it 3-1 after 2. Third period. Vegas presses at a minute and a half. We get 2 minutes of a 5-on-3 for Vegas. Well, that's not fair. And so on the 5-on-3, they score. It's Marchessault from Pietrangelo and Stevenson at 3:23. Seattle then kills off the 5-on-4. We get a power play for Seattle. That's killed off. The shots are 2-0 for Vegas with 9 minutes left, so there wasn't even a shot on the Seattle power play. Things get pushy on a hold by DeCord. Vegas presses with 5.5 minutes left. Seattle was stuck on 1 shot with 5 minutes left in the period. They would get a few others. I don't know how dangerous they were. Seattle, Kessel fires one high, I should say, on a 3-on-2. Donato then has a net drive chance. That's held. That's about as close as they got to a goal in those last few minutes. Your final score is 4-1. Vegas equals their points total from their first season. They're 50, 22, and 9. They have 1 game left. They can pass their all-time best points mark. For Seattle, 46, 27, and 8 with the loss. They're fine with that. It just means that the dreams of moving up in the standings, that's enough of that. So shots on net are 10-8 Vegas in the first, 16-9 Vegas in the second, 11-4 Vegas in the third. They outshoot Seattle 37-21. Power plays, Seattle 0 for 2, Vegas 1 for 3. The hits 39-30 for Seattle. DeCord saves 33 out of 37. Brossoit saves 20 out of 25. All right, and the last game of the night, Vancouver in against Anaheim. So will Vancouver finish above 500? Well, their last game is in Arizona, so they have a chance. They absolutely do. So it's Demko versus Dostal. Early jump for the Canucks. Pettersson has a shot that's saved. There was a glove save then on Peterson. Canucks press at 4.5 minutes. The shots are 6-2 in their favor, 6.5 minutes in. Lundstrom's then denied by Demko, but the Canucks end up getting the first power play of the game, and they score on it. It's Besser from Pettersson and Miller at 12:14, and Besser immediately picks up the puck because that is 100 points for Pettersson this year. Great to see him reach that mark after Miller got stuck at 99 last year. Ducks press to respond, but the Canucks go back to the power play, and Kuzmenko gets his 39th goal of the year from Hirose and Demko at 16:12. Now, normally he gets benched for scoring. It's just the way the Canucks do things. The Ducks then get a power play and they score on it. It's McTavish, who did not finish the game. He got hurt during the game. Fowler and Zegras with the assists at 17:20, and he buries a one-timer on that one. 19.5 seconds left. The Canucks get their third power play, so that rolls over into the second period. Miller has a shot that's held, and the Ducks do finish the kill. Beauvillier then has a tip shot that's held. There's a net feed to Zegras that's picked off. Power play for Anaheim. Canucks kill that off. McDonough then has a one-timer that's saved. The shots are 5-4 Ducks at 8.5 minutes. Canucks press with 8 minutes left. We get a power play for Vancouver, and the Ducks kill that off. Hellison has a shot that deflects out, and then he scores his first goal. Right, not too long after that. Post and in. Terry and Zegras with the assists at 15:32, and all of a sudden it's a 2-2 tie. The Canucks look to answer. 2:31 left. The Ducks get a power play. Zegras has a shot that's blocked. That's killed off. So we're going to the third period tied at 2. Early press by the Canucks, and they would score. JT Miller gets a goal from DiGiuseppe and Pettersson. So for Miller, a goal and an assist. He's now up to, I think that's 80 points for him. Not too bad. We then get a power play for Anaheim. That's killed off. Of course, Pettersson with 101 points now. Silverberg's denied. The Ducks press at the half. Dries then fired one wide on a rush. Nestorenko with a net feed. That's blocked out. 2:14 left. The Ducks get a power play. They would pull the goaltender during that power play to make a 6-on-4. That's killed off, and the Canucks hold on. So your final score is 3-2 Vancouver. They go to 37, 37, and 7 on the season. The Ducks 23, 46, and 12 on the season. Your shots 13-12 Vancouver in the first, 12-8 Anaheim in the second, 15-11 Vancouver in the third. Final shots are 36-35 for the Canucks. Power plays, Vancouver 2 for 4, Anaheim 1 for 5. So that penalty kill keeps going up just that little bit. It will not be the worst penalty kill in history. Hits 16-9 for Vancouver overall. Demko saves 33 out of 35. Another really strong start, and he equals his record at 500 on the season. I think they said 14, 14, and 4. Dostal, 33 saves on 36 shots. Another good start for the young kid in net for the Ducks. There you go. You're all caught up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.